Morning, King.
Good morning, Mr. Kruger.
How are you?
I'm fine. Yourself, Mr. Kruger?
I'm always great, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kuneni.
Thank you, Mr. Hutch. Okay. How was Cape Town, Mr. Kruger?
I'm not in Cape Town. I'm at in Mpumalanga. My wife is in the hospital. She's getting another operation tonight at 6. So I'm actually on leave. So, but because small business is close to my heart, I will take time off to join the meeting. But unfortunately, I'm not in Cape Town. Or fortunately, I'm not in Cape, because I see that the NA
Recording in progress.
was very late last night.
Oh,
People only arrive home after 9, 10. Yeah, long day.
Now, before we start, let me also pass my word of comfort to you, Mr. Kruger, that we wish you a speedy recovery. I might not get this opportunity, but I'm really sorry to hear that. And
Yeah.
we also extend our support to you that as long as you are next to her, all will go well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Chris, I hope this is the last one. They cut her up. She looks, but in any case, it had to be done, and we will only know the success after the operation tonight. So I will put it on the group late tonight after the operation.
okay, Mr. Kruger.
But it is what it is.
It shall come to pass. Good morning, Mr. Kawaga.
Morning, King. How are you, my brother?
I'm good, and yourself?
No, blessings, guys. Thank you for the kind invite and the consideration.
You are welcome.
How is President?
Good morning, honorable members of the Portfolio Committee. Good morning, our visitors. I think we should start with the meeting. Thank you very much for coming. Let me welcome, if ever we have let me check the list of the participants so that I do the correct thing. Yes, we have the reps from the Office of the Minister. We have the honorable members in the meeting. You're welcome. We have the support staff from Parliament, the Office of the Secretariat, and our visitors. All of you are welcome. I think we need to start with the meeting. Before I open the meeting, I have a request to the honorable members and the presenters. Our meeting should be done by 12 o'clock. We have a crucial sitting of Parliament whereby we cannot run our meeting in the bus. So my request is that let's make sure that we do everything according to time, and then by 12 o'clock the meeting should have been closed, and then we rush to our bus stations. The other thing, the request that I'm having is that our researcher forwarded us the report. Maybe we should start with our researcher. It's a request, of course, that we start with our researcher, because we have the report. Then we just talk to the report, and then we close the issue of the research and the researcher herself, and then we then go to our visitors for the presentation. I don't know whether the members will then welcome this. I see the hand of Babalo Matulelo. Babalo, it's good that now you make sure that your gadget is talking to us. I see your hand, Honorable Member. Over to you. Honorable Matulelwa, did you raise your hand?
Yes, Chair. I did raise my hand. It's just that I'm trying to enter my office. No, it's fine, Chair. No, I wanted to check because this you are saying by 12 o'clock we must be done, but the agenda was by 12:30. And I was expecting, because in the bus that I was in, members that report the meetings around this time, even virtual, they should have been coming as early as possible, because now rushing things as if we're taking this committee as by the way, I don't think it's a justice. But I wanted to say that, Chair, I don't know how can we do it, but if ever we can take it maybe to half past at least.
Okay, and I get now the bus leaves the parks at half past, but it's fine, Ma. Let me check with the other members. If you can
Yes,
just
even others, they do while they are coming on the way. I think we can finish the meeting as much as we are going to be taking a bus, or even in the future, Chair. I would suggest that at least if ever our meeting is at 9:30, let's just take the 8 o'clock bus so that we don't rush things, because we are dealing with a very critical. If I check this agenda, it's a very critical agenda that we're having. So that was my suggestion, Chair. Thank you.
good advice, Ma. Let me check with other honorable members. I see the hand of Ntate Malimaja and Ntate Kruger in that order.
No, thanks, Chair, as I agree with everybody. I think the other option can also be, because we are at home, instead of pushing to 9, if it's possible, we run to 8 so that we finish, which is not opposed to the latter speaker to say, where possible, we can take the 8-year one. The issue is to try and confine ourselves within the report and finish done justice to that. So, and members, the other thing that helps is that when we get the report in time, we read the report. So the presenter, when they come here, they don't go sentence by sentence. It's like they are reducing us as if we can't read report on our own, but more time be given to interaction. Thanks.
So if you can be clear whether you support that we round off at 12 or...
Oh, no, so I really support that. Let's finish. The issue is, I'm one of those who be very much irritated when you get into the bus, you want to contribute, there's a noise of these ones, you can't stop them if they're right. Then your issues, very critical for that matter, are heard by everybody. The issue of bus, I also have very serious reservation that the meeting continues when we are in the bus. I will support the 12th one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Kruger.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And Chris sort of covered me. I'm also one of those persons that meetings don't have to be very long as it's productive. And I think we must concentrate on the productiveness of meetings and not as much as time. Because we can sit here the whole day and just blah, 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 and nothing gets done. But we can do an hour or two and a lot can be done. So let's and I agree, and your proposal that we finish 12 will be appreciated. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm going to request that because now there is a support, though the honorable member gave an advice that next time we need to make sure that we take the 8 o'clock bus so that we attend our meeting in Parliament. I think it's a good idea and a good advice. We are welcoming it. So now I'm going to request that the honorable support keeps the time for us when we'll be raising questions. I agree with you, Honorable Kruka. If we want to be productive in the meeting, we need to stick to the point when we raise our questions or when we contribute, when we do our comment. Then on that note, even if we are not in a rush, then we will make sure that we save our thinking, because even this afternoon is going to be long. If you can check on what happened yesterday. Thank you very much. Allow me, honorable members, to welcome you in the meeting and open this meeting officially so, and also to request that the secretary, if ever you do have apologies, you tell us about those apologies. We are in your hands. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, colleagues from the Competition Commission and from the two other institutions, that is Pan-African Innovation Firm and Analytic X, Spaza ITS. And then also we will morning to the colleagues. Chairperson, the apology that we have received is an apology from Honorable Nkosul Tuli. He indicated that he had some technical glitches in joining. However, we'll keep on trying. So those are the apologies that we received, Chairperson, without wasting any time. Thank you.
And a standing apology from the honorable member from the TA. We won't forget that one. Thank you very much, Secretary.
Chairperson, she is in the meeting today. She's back.
Wow. Okay. I didn't see her name. You're welcome, honorable member. We've been hearing that you are not well, and we thank God that you are fine today. Honorable Mafagani.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson. Good morning, Honorable members. I want to put an apology through for Honorable Nchaba. She is still in the hospital. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. We wish her a speedy recovery. If we're done with the apologies, we can then go to the next item that deals with consideration and adoption of the meeting agenda. Over to the honorable members. Let's adopt the agenda. Honorable Kruka. Honorable Kruka.
Madam Chair, sorry, I didn't unmute. Madam Chair, I propose that we adopt the agenda as in front of us with the time correction, of course. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kruka. Any supporter?
I second, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mafagani. We are now going to start with the item as they appear on the agenda, but I was going to request, as I did put the request earlier on, that we start with the researcher, Membelekan.
Sorry, Chair.
Yes.
The first one was to the committee to adopt the program of the term. Since it is our first meeting, we haven't adopted the committee program.
My apologies, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Due to time, Chairperson, we are just going to have where is it? I've got to open it. Sorry for since it is our first meeting in the 2026 Chairperson, we are supposed to adopt the committee program. I hope it's feasible.
It is not only seeing what is on the screen of your computer, if you can check. not talking to us on the agenda program.
King, I think you're not sharing. You're not. Yeah, there you are.
Chairperson.
Okay.
Quickly, Chairperson. We've done the first one, the 28, which was postponed due to lack of quorum. We've conducted our oversight visit to Eastern Cape, which was scheduled for the 2nd till the 6th of February. We had a State of Nation address, so today we are in the 18th. So we it's on oversight capacity building engagement, as the committee indicated that we must interact with other institutions in capacitating the members. So now we are on this e-commerce. And then on the 25th of February, we shall be with the department where we look at the progress made in profiling cooperatives and the finalization of the cooperative apex body. Then on the 4th of March, we have planned to have a joint, to get a briefing from the Department of Tourism. So we would like to have a joint meeting with the PC and the State Committee. Remember, the members were concerned about that tourism fund. So it is more on those and programs that are supporting enterprises, and then the overview of the sector since 2020. And the progress and challenges in the implementation of Tourism Equity Fund. Then on the 11th of March, we shall be having a progress with the TSBT, TTI, COCTA, Labor and Employment departments. Then on the 18th of March, we are planning to have the impact that is played by provincial investment promotion agencies known as PAPers. This has arose from the impact, or what was one of the observations when we're conducting oversight from Free State and also in the Eastern Cape. And then on the 5th of March, is a Q2, Q3 performance report of the department and the agency. Then on the 1st of April, we shall be considering the Eastern Cape oversight report and also reconsidering the appointment of small enterprise owners report. So these meetings we shall be having, the 1st of April will be physical, and then the 25th of March is also be physical in Cape Town, and then the one of the 18th of March will be virtual, because we are inviting people from different provinces. And then the one for the 11th of March is also going to be virtual, since we're inviting different departments. And then the one for the joint committee, it also on the 4th of March is going to be virtual. And then the one of the 25th of February is going to be physical. The last but not least, Chairperson, to add the one of the 25th of February, remember that there was a special meeting that we had that emanated from the oversight of the Eastern Cape, whereby we're interacting with the KSD, that is King Sabatata Linjebo dispute. So we requested that we, since members resolved that that meeting should be physical, so we requested that we make it on the 25th, we insert it on the 25th of February, due to that we couldn't locate a space in Parliament for today, the 18th. And number two, we're looking at the nature of today's meeting, whereby we are also inviting the outside institutions. So it becomes very easy for them to participate in the meeting if we are virtual. So these are the items so far that is in the program, Chairperson, and then I will stop there for any comment or the adoption, if any, or any addition. Not unless maybe I can ask Mr. Kumete if there is anything that I've left behind. Thank you, Chair. Through you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Secretary. I was also going to request the content advisor, if ever there is something that maybe he wants to add or just to assist the committee with over.
provincial investment promotion agencies comes from Oversight in Eastern Cape. It's just a decision, honorable members and chair, that we took some time back, that we're going to be inviting all the peoples. MEGA is there, Northwest Development Corporation is there, ECDC is there, Trade and Investment KZN is there, and many others, honorable members, that we are inviting. Chair, Upra King has covered me, unless if maybe members want us maybe to add one or few issues or items, probably in our next quarter. But this was discussed amongst ourselves as the staff, and we agreed. It is the program of the committee that we are presenting, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I am now going to request to the honorable members if ever they have any addition or anything to put on the items, though I would request that the secretary write it by the side so that we talk to it in our management committee before it can be put on the program. Thank you very much. I see the two hands, Honorable Kruka, Honorable Sarah. Yeah, only those two hands. In that order, honorable members.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the presentation. Madam Chair, I'm just a bit concerned about considering the ombuds only the 1st of April. I was wondering if we can't move it up, because it is, and it was shown in the Eastern Cape Oversight, that we need to appoint the small enterprise ombudsperson as soon as possible. So I was requesting, or I am requesting, that we move it up as soon as possible. I think the 1st of April is a bit far. That's the first point. The second point about MEGA, I handed in a petition last year. It sounds very long ago, but last year, and I was wondering when, if that petition already find its way to the committee or to the management committee, because it's the businesses, the small businesses involved, and petition are in dire straits. So they need the answer from MEGA. So and as I say, I don't know if that petition land on your desk yet. If not, please let me know so that I can investigate, so that we can get that petition as soon as possible on the desk of the Small Business Development Committee. So only with those two requests, that is my story. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kruka, Honorable Sarah. And the Honorable Babala will follow.
Good morning, Chair. Greetings to you and to all at the meeting. Chair, I want to support Honorable Kruger's request that we move the item of the ombudsperson to literally our next meeting or the following meeting, because the process is going to take a long time and we've got to get this done as soon as possible. Chair, the second thing is that the meeting on the 28th of Jan that didn't happen, I think there were crucial items on that agenda. And I really do think that maybe some of the virtual meetings can start a bit earlier to start accommodating those items and get them back into the program for this term. If we thought it was that important that we put it at our first meeting, I'm surprised that it is left out completely. The next thing is that, Chair, from last year, we've been saying, and I'm sure at some stage we had the tracking tool on one of our schedule for one of our meetings, but I don't think that ever happened. So this is a serious problem, because it's very difficult to follow up on resolutions and decisions of the committee if we are not dealing with that. And I don't see on any of the meetings like adoption of minutes and that kind of thing, Chair, almost for the whole term. So I think if we're doing those things, because it will take time as well, we must actually allow for those things. And my last comment would be that the total cost for this term is 500 and some odd thousand. And obviously, because there should be dates put in for the committee's international study tour. So I don't know what's happening, because obviously the costs don't add up to 528,000 without that item. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sarah. We are all noting the request. The Honorable Member Babalo.
Thank you very much, Chair. Mine, I think I did put in our WhatsApp group as well. This is Honorable Babalo Matulela, deployed by EFF in Parliament. Chairperson, I did suggest that we need to include other committees to come and account in this portfolio committee. For instance, Chairperson, there are critical budgets that are allocated to across the departments, but we are not getting an account of where are those entrepreneurs or the MSMEs that are being supported by these departments. Hence, you remember we found out when we were in the State Cape that the Department of Small Business was blocked on continuing with the equity fund of that tourism equity fund. But number two, Chair, there's something that we are not paying attention to it. There is a critical report that we need to get even in this Department of Small Business with regards to finances, because I think we're not getting a clue on rollovers and also the monies that were not used, and we are not playing a critical role on even writing as a portfolio committee or trying means not for the treasury not to take back the monies that were meant for entrepreneurs. But if ever we can get a clear report that gives us an account of the monies, the ones that were not, and they were underspent, and other monies that were not used at all, that were taken back to that are in a risk, Chairperson, yokuthi ziphindiswe back to its treasury. So we're not getting a clear indication on that one. I think we must have a specific item on the program that will be specifically dealing with finances of the Department of Small Business Development. Hence, Chairperson, I think also we need to even invite them, the departments or and others, because remember, Chair, there are some of the unanswered questions. I remember, because as I've been indicating, Chair, that Amahlubi are the biggest nation, and they existed from 1300. But we don't know in the point of view of traditional housing, what is happening, what is the critical role, because amakhosi bazi custodians of the land. Amakhosi ngabo abangakwazi ukuchampiona nokunika lama small businesses esimele wona. But apha asazi ukuthi ukhokta kahle kahle kwenzakalani kuye, ithini indaba yama small businesses, and then how do we rock in amakhosi, as I have mentioned it over. We are every day simakule parliament sikhalela ukuthi amakhosi mawa-recognize ubukhosi babo. Sikhalela amanye amakhosi awangaka-recognize ukuthi mawa-recognize, but also we're not paying details because the majority of the people they fall under i-MSME sector, and amakhosi ngawo fanele sihambile saya kwi-oversight. Abantu bane-problem nokuthola umhlaba, abantu bane-problem nokuthi abakhoni ukwenza lamabhizinisi abo abe-sustainable. So I propose that, Chair, in this program of this first term, let's use this opportunity and invite uKhokta or Mr. Hlabisa. They must come here and account actually what is the role of uKhokta with regards to ukuncedisana noma small businesses. What is happening with the land question? Yini i-connection? What is the role kaKhokta uncedisana namakhosi ekutheni ancedisane nama-small businesses ukuthi akwazi ukuthi akhule? Because really, even abantu abafola under amakhosi, they do need benefit in these opportunities as a small business. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I think we are noting it down. The Office of the Secretariat will then talk to it in our management committee meeting. Thank you very much, Honorable Babalo. Honorable Sapo.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good morning to you and all honorable members in the meeting. Bear with me, Chair, I have a flu, so my voice is terrible. I've got two or three proposals, Chair. One in supporting that I think the item on the reviewal of the ombuds is far. I propose, Chair, that we move it from the 1st of April. We move it to the 18th of March. We then swap them around. We take the item of the 18th of March to the 1st of April. That's the first proposal. The second one, Chair, I also propose that we move. I understand that it got some implications because it's a joint meeting, but I would propose that we move the item of the 11th of March to the 4th of March, and then we move the one of the 4th of March to the 11th of March. I understand the implication, but I'm raising that, Chair, because it's been a long time since we then be given a progress report on the spaza shop funding, and taking into consideration some of the things that we found during the oversight. I propose that, Chair, we move the items around. The last proposal, Chair, I think I support the proposal that we must fund a slot to invite Khokta to the portfolio committee, but my interest is on the progress on business licensing, especially from municipalities, because we have been receiving reports that most of the time it's about municipalities not having capacity and all of that. I think it will be very important to receive the report from them on the progress made so far and the interventions that are in place. I'm not ruling out what was raised earlier on by the honorable member on the interest of Khokta, but in supporting that, they must be invited. But my interest is what on I just raised. Other than that, Chair, I am fine with the program. Or the last thing is that the item that was on the first, that was supposed to be our first meeting, I think it must fund the slaughterment, but it can be the first item on the next quarter. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member Sapo. I am sure the Secretary is noting the requests. And the other thing, Honorable Sarah did not want to...
Sorry to interject you, Chair.
Hello.
Sorry to interject you. Sorry,
Yes.
it's just that I didn't get the one of the moving the one of the fourth.
Okay, let me do this. Let me request the Honorable Support to write the suggestion on the chat group. I think it will also assist in saving time. If we can check on our chat group, honorable members, the Honorable Sarah indicated that she forgot to request that we add the item of the Eastern Cape matter to the fiscal meeting on the 25th February. Members will remember that the secretary just spoke to it, but it's not appearing on the program. That is the request. Will that be fine, Secretary?
Yes, Chairperson.
Thank you so much. Honorable Malemacha, over to you, sir. And I
think the voice of Mbogoto has represented me properly.
Okay.
With the suggestion of moving those dates, in particular the one of the 1st of April to the 18th, that would be mid-March, I have no problem. But the other thing that we must put emphasis is the issue of inviting sister department. There's a consensus of the two speakers that there's a need to have COPTA. I think if you check on the 11 there, I think that is the one which was proposed to come to the 4th, though the proposer was also raising the issue of logistics. So I will suggest that let's try it. Let's try it, we'll get the feedback. So as I support that, let's move the COPTA up to the 4th with the sense of agency that has been raised. And it's true, we are in a department that time and again will want us to have a clear working relationship with the participant. Those will be among COSI, those will be councillors and everybody. So if that can be given that attention as quick as possible, can assist. Other than that, I think I'm honorables. I don't need to go past them. I think we are in agreement, Chairperson, without a waste of time.
All right. Thank you very much. That was the last hand of the Honorable Malemacha. As I check on the participant list, I don't see any other hand. Thank you so much. Can we then say that now we talk to this, we have talked to the program, we adopt it with the amendments brought forward by the members. Honorable Kruger.
Madam Chair, I propose that we adopt the first program with amendments and also with the agreement that the management committee will look at the solutions that was raised by members. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Malemacha.
Thank you very much. I stand to support the adoption of, to second the adoption of the program with those amendments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Honorable Kruger moved and Honorable Malemacha seconded. So on that note, we have agreed on this item. Unless if the content advisor want to say something out of what the honorable members was raising.
No, definitely, Chairperson, will do as instructed by members of the committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You're cruising nicely. So can you take us back to our agenda, Secretary? Thank you very much. We have talked to the consideration and we have adopted the first term committee program. I think we should just take it as it is. We are now going to The briefing on oversight capacity building on the impact of the Eastern Cape. What is it?
E-commerce.
E-commerce, yes, e-commerce, the letters are so small. On the impact of the e-commerce by Pan-African innovation. And as we welcome you, Mr. Vuisa Kabake, and the analytics by Mr. Talifani Banks. You're welcome to say, please make sure that you give us the summary. I'm sure the honorable members have read the report with your presentation. And then on that note, we'll be able to engage after you would have talked to us. Over to you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Just double checking with you, King. Do I present, or are you gonna put the presentation up on your side?
It's better that you present so you can be able to control it according as we are speaking to each. I can give you the rights.
Yeah, give me the rights. Yeah, thank you so much. While King does that, thank you, honorable members, for having us this morning. You know, I don't envy your role in this because I think it has its complexities and its challenges. Hopefully the presentation will allow for better clarity and assistance in your execution of your role. Let me just try and make sure that I have the right presentation. Okay, just see now. Okay. It won't take too long. Okay. Cool. So briefly, by way of introduction, I think I'll just do the presentation on this end. King, let me know if everybody can see. Is it visible on your side?
I can see it on my side.
Continue.
All right.
Yes.
Well, thank you, everybody. My name is Vuisa Kabaka. I originally hail from the Eastern Cape, the province of all legends. In the space that I operate, I've been working in this space for the past 15 years. I'm typically kind of known as somebody who's a digital ecosystem builder. Amongst my peers across the continent, I'm known as the African Rainmaker. My official title is a partner at Sandbox International. We are a Pan-African innovation advisory firm, originally founded in Kenya and operating in a few markets on the continent. I myself am the partner for Southern Africa specifically. And in terms of background and experience, I've worked with ABSA Group. I was leading the digital partnerships ecosystem as an external entity, but working within the bank over the past 6 years, between 2021 to 2025. I personally am an angel investor and invest in digital companies or digital agencies, and one of those companies is Ola Web Media Group, which works with township-based businesses in assisting them with entering the environment of the digital economy. I've been part of the Simodisa, which is an advocacy group that's now working on the Startup Act in South Africa, and previously had a role here in Cape Town, where I started with the Cape IT Initiative, which is a government-funded special purpose vehicle, which was driving the digital economy here in the Western Cape, and most recently advising Vula.vc, which is a digitized AI-powered funding aggregator, effectively allowing SMEs to gain access to funding through a mixed bag of different types of funding partners, from grants to loans that founders can use digitally online and via WhatsApp. In terms of my township experience, I've worked a lot of time, especially in the early part of my career, advocating for Black business to get the opportunity to participate in the mainstream economy through the South African Black Entrepreneur Forum, where I was one of the founding directors. We set up the Barn Kailicha with the Cape IT Initiative as well. So I was part of the team that put that together in 2012. So I have my kind of broad experience of the local realities of both township entrepreneurs, some of the key challenges and some of the key experiences that they have. So how I want to approach this very briefly is I want to kind of give you a lens, at least from my perspective, of what the township economy really is about. I mean, many people on this call, I'm sure, have been raised in the communities and they go back often enough to kind of have a sense of what's going on in terms of whether the progress is happening or there's a restraint in progress. And then my mandate in terms of the request from the committee was to talk to the readiness of township and rural enterprises in their ability to participate in the digital market, where the ecosystem gaps exist in terms of access to growth and to capital, to provide some practical recommendations on how these things can improve, and then opportunities to identify opportunities with policy alignment to strengthen inclusive innovation. So let me start off by really giving an overview of what the township economy, at least from my lens as a practitioner, primarily is. I think we all have our individual perspective of what the township really is about. To me, there's a couple of things that define the township, and we've certainly seen a lot of conversation and dialogue, especially of late, kind of rising around the issue of undercounting and underreporting, specifically around some of the Stats SA data around the impact and effect of the township economy. What I can tell you unequivocally is that not only do the major banks and the major retailers really want access to this market, but really it should be a national imperative to move this market forward in closing the gap, especially around digital access and economic participation. So the market size is estimated around 900 billion. And to me, really the township, when you start really placing a lens over it, has a lot of anomalies, especially in the context of understanding the market size and market potential, what this market could do. Some of those anomalies include the fact that according to Stats SA, that nearly 80% of township businesses remain unregistered. Again, as the Oversight Committee that also oversees agencies of the Department of Small Business, like CIPC, this is an area of interest that I think should be of particular interest to you all in understanding the trends around how best to adjust this. Furthermore, when you read the data that's released by the banks themselves, you'll also identify a number of other anomalies. So the fact that fewer than 9% of township businesses have access to bank loans, which also doesn't also make sense. Whether, again, these are micro or blended type of loans, less than 9% of businesses in a specific geographical location don't have access to those services. 49% of businesses operate from homes or garages, and with only 11% in commercial premises. Again, this will tell you, and you can read a lot into this context as well, from zoning rights to functionally kind of enabling tools from special economic zone area allocation for economic growth and participation. When you think about small scale manufacturing or cottage industries. So again, these numbers should be of great concern from that. But another very interesting trend that I know I added this very intentionally because I think it's quite topical in the country right now is the fact that about 75 billion rands worth of online gambling revenue. This is not turnover. The turnover is way higher than this. But the revenue that they generate in terms of profit is about 75 billion rands. And again, this tells you that the audience is fundamentally participating and actively online, and have unlocked. But again, where the money is going is not necessarily into the hands of the small business operators and the entrepreneurs in the localities. It's kind of lost to these kind of large scale infrastructure platforms that are basically there extractively taking money from people in these communities. So again, that contribution to the economy is depending on whose data and stats you believe, can be from as low as 6% to as high as 14% in terms of GDP contribution. And for context, mining is around 7% of GDP contribution to the country. And when you think about the level of infrastructure support, development, lobby and advocacy investment that goes into mining, this kind of gives you a picture of where currently the township economy is. From a user point of view, again, it's worthwhile knowing that, again, I'm pretty sure all of you have smartphones. WhatsApp user numbers, South Africa is in the top 10 biggest markets for WhatsApp usage in the world. South Africa has about 28 to 30 million WhatsApp users. This represents about 93.9% of internet users in South Africa. Again, how we experience the internet is really an individualized experience. To some people, the internet is WhatsApp because there's so much of an ecosystem that exists with WhatsApp that's enabled through WhatsApp. But again, the entire universe of what is available through the Meta platforms. And then I think it's important to also note, and certainly the Reserve Bank has noted this, that cash is king in the township as a result of the Reserve Bank increasingly moving towards a path. In fact, if I could also recommend that the Portfolio Committee have a conversation with a representative of the Reserve Bank to discuss their plans around the digitalization of currency, because part of the impact that they're trying to have is reducing the 73% participation of cash. So cash is 73% of total transactions that are currently happening in the township. Hopefully this starts building a picture for you in as far as some of the unique circumstances, which I call anomalies, that basically affect the township economy as a foundation to what ultimately you are responding to in this session. So, in answering the question, are the township businesses and enterprises ready to participate? The long and short response is yes. The trends tell us that the majority of people in the townships are already transacting in various ways using digital systems and digital platforms. So if you want to have a simple answer, the question is the readiness, the curiosity of participation. Are we well on our way? Are we on the other side of the question? Yes, we are. There are a variety of reasons why, again, participation is limited and participation is maybe not aggressively moving the direction that they have. In my previous slide, I kind of alluded for you already that a variety of players have already leveraged the opportunity to see that happen, and it's created this discussion and debate, whether it's things that have been said by the former CEO of Capitec, or platforms that provide infrastructure, connectivity infrastructure on the ground, where they see a totally different data and statistical level of interest in participation. So in terms of what is limiting participation, the first one is the cost of doing business. What you notice in terms of why is cash so much more prevalent is because of the perceived cost of transactional fees. So again, in whether you are transacting using your bank cards or you're using your NFC or near field connectivity solutions, that perceived cost limits adoption to fully kind of enabling various kind of payment platforms to function. The second one is the challenges around logistics and delivery. Again, we've seen multiple times a lot of the providers of these services not only throttling, but also limiting the access points for ease of distribution and delivery. And one of the things I also wanted to make sure that I'll do in my next slide is I teach this portfolio committee some of the basic principles of ensuring that you drive success into a small business. It's really three main things, and I'll touch on that in my next slide. The second challenge is naturally digital literacy. This is something seemingly that everybody has a constant kind of a reason to, speak to the challenges that are faced by small businesses. And for me, it's not necessarily the biggest one, but I included it because I think it's something that resonates with a lot more people. And I maybe might take a different slant in terms of what I see as digital literacy challenges. It's not so much around the tools or the infrastructure. It's more around issues of language barrier. Again, a lot of the infrastructure that's built or a lot of the tools that are available are mainly developed in English. And seldom do you find them in vernacular languages, seldom do you find in local languages. The second one is digital literacy around, the security factors like phishing or the protection of personal information in terms of data protection. So again, a lot can be done from a policy point of view to improve some of these elements, especially for people who might be more marginalized in terms of general awareness and education in protecting their rights to have their data protected and not abused by scammers and people of that ilk. Security, again, I give a different slant to this. We have a serious issue around extortion and the perceptions around extortion in the township. I think everybody is aware of these things. Infrastructure vandalism and cybercrime, again, related to things like phishing and POPIA. And the fourth one, in terms of limitations of readiness, is infrastructure gaps, which again, perceptively, I feel this is the one that really needs a lot of time and attention. As much as we might all have smartphones, South Africa enables and allows in a very limited smartphone quality that basically finds its way into our market. Again, this is something that can easily be revisited, and a certain spectrum of quality of smartphone that enables a proper participation in the economy should be allowed in terms of both cost as a limitation, but also as and quality as a factor. The other one, of course, is connectivity. We also know that there's massive gaps around infrastructure, especially in the township and rural and informal economy. And again, this needs to be sped up to enable way more kind of digital participation across the board. So in responding to where potentially the gaps lie, like I said, from a policy point of view, one of the things I just wanted to really anchor to the committee in your basic understanding around if we want to be creating an enabling environment for small businesses to function, it has to speak to three very basic principles, because every small business has to have these things. They have to have a product, they have to have a customer, and they have to have a distribution channel, okay? And distribution can be seen in multiple forms. Digital access is now the way of the world, especially in the knowledge economy, in the digital economy. So distribution through digital tools is a big fundamental kind of element of this. It's not only about the ability to deliver a product to a particular physical location, but it's also about the discovery of the product long before you get to a delivery. And the interplay between the physical world and the digital world, again, means that products need to be delivered anyway, which speaks to distribution again. So when you are able to answer a question, and this is also a key, when we are enabling SMEs, we need to be enabling them to produce products that have, again, of good value, good quality, support their customers. And to this point, I speak about dignity to the consumer. So it provides dignity and safety to the consumer to transact. So without kind of the risk of, anything negative in terms of poisoning or quality or effect. And again, within a positive kind of construct. And then the distribution of those products. So, again, if you want to be a successful business in your own right, you need to have clarity around product, customer, and distribution. And as long as those things are done above board within a legal manner, you should have a revenue generating business regardless of what industry or sector you come from. The other ecosystem gap is one that I know a lot of SMEs will come to this committee to complain about, and that is around financing and affordability, specifically related to fees the cost of actually making transactions happen with customers, whether it's card machines or transaction fees at checkout. And the other one is margins. Again, the profit margin of one's ability to do business in terms of how it's constrained and limited in the lower end of the market. The other gap that I think exists is something that I think is also an opportunity for the market, especially in an environment where we need to accelerate job creation. In the brief that I was given by the team, they speak about job creation of 3 million jobs, or job creation that potentially affects up to 3 million people. In this context, I think there's a very unique opportunity that this committee can champion, and that is ensuring that there's sufficiently enough skills on the ground in each of the communities all across South Africa, where you have skilled, talented young people to support the transitioning into the digital ecosystem and the digital space. This requires for there to be an acceleration of kind of knowledge share, whether it's with these big multinational companies that are coming into the market in South Africa, ensuring that they have that responsibility, that on ground, it's upskilling each and every community to have those skills available. In many mainstream suburbs of wherever you might find yourself living, you will find there's always a computer shop or a computer person in those shops. In our townships, we need the same kind of culture and ethos to kind of come into that space where there's a computer shop or there's a computer person or a computer literate person who can support the community in terms of skills, especially young school leavers who are digitally literate who can support each community. One of the examples I also wanted to kind of identify in terms of use cases here is a simple kind of measure. I saw that on the 4th of March, you have the Department of Tourism coming to visit you. So in this context, again, why is it that discovering, for example, if Airbnb is active in South Africa and is causing debates and topical kind of questions in places like Cape Town, why is it that they're not supporting the development of the township tourism or the township hospitality, where there's this widespread kind of intention to make sure that every township bed and breakfast, every township homestay is listed on an Airbnb platform as a basic, simple use case that can easily be adopted. And then lastly, in terms of gaps, is logistics and access to market, specifically around last mile delivery. This should be something that should be anchoring, like I said, one of the key pillars to successfully driving business growth is distribution. So, once you've got your product, you've got it figured out, you've got your customer base figured out, distribution should be a pillar. We have a lot, I think you're going to have a presentation just now from Spaza Eats. This is a massive opportunity gap that needs to be assisted and supported, especially by different players to enable distribution and last mile specific distribution to happen more easily and more fluidly in our local communities. So from a point of view of practical recommendations, I try to keep this as practical as possible. One of the things I'd like to really strongly recommend for the committee to consider is establishing an annual Township Economy Week. It's a glaring opportunity that I think there's a lot of kind of conversation and societal kind of interest in the direction of the township economy. But as I've mentioned, it's a very unstructured, relatively disparate kind of environment filled with anomalies. And yet there's an opportunity to kind of center this conversation under one kind of core area to drive national debate and national dialogue. And again, drive that change from a policy point of view. The other one is for the committee to advocate for a digital readiness index from the department that again reviews its ability to convert participation from the township economy, especially around digital public infrastructure, so DPI. Another one is providing credit guarantees. The CEDFAs of this world, some of these PIPAs that you guys are talking about, how are they providing credit guarantees for purchase order linked financing? So where an entrepreneur or business has a clear order to service a mainstream provider, that purchase order should be easily financeable a lot more easier to finance than any other. So the minute I have an order, for if it's linked to an order, especially from a credible government agency or credible company, gaining access to funding should be a lot easier for me as a small business than currently is right now. The last one is the other one is around digital economy sector interventions. I've mentioned an example around the tourism industry, again, where you can have one win. If that one win comes from tourism, then let it be so. So between Airbnb and township-based B&Bs or homestays or hospitality establishments, here's an opportunity facilitated through policy that again allows this industry to win. But of course, this premise can be piloted in one industry and then through those lessons expanded more wider. If you want a more direct intervention, differential fee structures is a consideration. This gets into the muddy waters of dealing with the banks and the different third-party infrastructure providers, but it's not necessarily impossible to have a specialized differential fee structure to allow more township businesses to participate in the digital transition, which is also what would be interesting to have as a conversation with the South African Reserve Bank around its plans in digitizing the township kind of economy away from cash into a more digital currency kind of space in terms of the incentive and benefits for small businesses in the townships. So in conclusion then, in terms of policy alignment for inclusive innovation, again, the environment really needs better government coordination. I think it's been mentioned by members of this committee in terms of your ability to provide that coordination, the overlaps between small business policy and digital trade strategies. Again, this is mainly held by the Department of Communications. So again, it might also be advisable to kind of have conversations that look into how that is facilitated with the Department of Communications. Expanding broader investment into digital infrastructure. Again, this should be very much accelerated and should take on as many partners as possible. The world is changing incredibly fast. The gap of digital inclusion is only widened. So, if it's allowed to continue to widen, it's going to certainly leave a lot more people behind, but it's certainly going to make those people more directly affected than participated. Okay, so I think there's an opportunity to shift this narrative away to a participatory one en masse versus one way that widens the gap and is more extractive to that particular market. So accelerate ecosystem enablement from a policy-led point of view. As I've mentioned earlier, folks, I've been doing this for 15 years. And in that 15 years, the Barn Khayelitsha remains, less than a half dozen of such hubs in the townships in South Africa, okay? And yet we know that the need to kind of drive this digital acceleration is only increasing. It hasn't slowed down. And yet what we see, and interestingly, the Barn Khayelitsha itself is subsequently now closed down due to lack of resourcing. So you have less and less of these spaces prevalent in the market, and yet there's a greater need for them to exist in a way, far more accelerated way. And this mandate sits with the Department of Small Business as well. I know that there's a great effort that's going on. I think that effort can certainly be assisted with some acceleration. And then lastly, it's red tape reduction. And I'm sure it's a topic that comes up on this committee quite a lot. But for me, it's really around supply chain access, the things that I've mentioned around financing purchase orders and, again, real business systems, as opposed to enabling kind of risk-based concepts and ideas, really focusing resourcing where they can drive value and can deliver accelerated, meaningful impact. And then, of course, ease of doing business. And I don't think I'm telling anybody something they haven't heard about this. So that is my thoughts from my side. Happy to connect with anybody that's looking to connect, and I'll take questions, I guess, when the opportunity arises. You can scan the QR code to access some of the information on my side. I'll make the presentation available as well on that particular link after the call.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Vuiswa. At least we're enjoying the presentation and the information. We are now moving forward. Going to request Mr. Talifani Banks on the Analytics X of the Spaza Eats. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, Honorable Chair and members of the Parliament and everyone else, the Commissioner. Thank you for creating this platform. I appreciate it. I'm going to share my presentation. Yes, maybe I can start by my background. I'm originally from Limpopo. My background is in econometrics. I started working back in the days, 2013 at MassMart as a private label analyst. And I was analyzing the whole brand of macro, cash and carries, etc. And I moved to Pick n Pay. We were part of the innovators that built the brand match models and smart shopper models with other mathematicians in there. I then moved on to AutoZone. I was reporting to the CEO of AutoZone, building pricing models for wholesale to retail, until I decided to start Analytics X, which is a technology company which we built with the intention of building systems for large corporations and emerging markets. As I continue building systems, around 2021, started winning awards in the country, Best Entrepreneur, etc. But 2022, I performed in Russia as one of the entrepreneurs for the country, and I won BRICS Entrepreneur in the country 2022 because of some of the systems that I had built that were competing globally. I traveled a lot in the continent, and when I was traveling in the continent, I got invited in Addis and at the African Union, and we were talking about African continental free trade and connecting the continent. And that's when it hit me that we need to start building technology that is connecting the continent. And because of currency issues, we can't just build systems directly going to the continent. So we need to start from one country to the other. And I then looked at what we have in the country in South Africa. If you look at the bottom of the pyramid, the emerging market, the rural market and township, this is a 200 billion market. And this is 60% of our people still stay in the township. This is the biggest market that no one can tell you. I've been in retail. I can tell you, no retail is bigger than this market. So I then realized that we need to start building a technology that we own, that can go and make impact in emerging markets. We can start in South Africa and then export it into other countries. Unfortunately, because of analytics, I was already building systems for companies like PPC Cement that exist already in Botswana, Zimbabwe. So I already have existence in those countries. So when we launched Spaza Eats, the idea was to build a technology that will connect community business-wise. My mother used to own a Spaza shop, so I knew that the goal is to make that basic survivalist trader to become sustainable, to order stock from reliable suppliers, and also to get them cash flow as they work their business, because these are key challenges that makes the business not to grow. In offices, people will tell you, no, the township market is not growing, it's not what. They have been programmed to believe what is not true by people who haven't lived there. For us who are coming from there, we understand that the challenges that are existing in the township are very much structural and can be corrected. And that's what I've been doing. So one of the things before I move on to the presentation is that we need to look at township as a market that is ready to be developed. There's no challenge. There's 3 million jobs. This can be created in 2 years. It's not far-fetched. It's not a dream. It's already there. We need to build systems that enables that. And that's what I've been doing. So I'm going to talk about the bottom of the pyramid market and the readiness for digital platforms. So by the way, we've got we build both technology for township, for commerce. We call it Spaza Eats, and we had to build a fintech back of this technology, which is called My XPay. And over the years, I will tell you what happened, but these are the objectives of what I'm going to share, which you shared with me: the readiness of township rural enterprise to participate in digital platforms, ecosystem gaps affecting startups, opportunity policies, and practical recommendations from us. I will start by the what is ready. Over the years, since launching Spaza Eats in the market, I'm actually impressed how far we've come. The other challenges that are affecting growth can be addressed, and that's what we can discuss. But what is ready is the strong trading culture. The youth is ready to transact. I have so many merchants on our ecosystem that are making over 50,000, 100,000, whether it's cash or through digital platform, but they are making money. This should be addressed as success because they are already doing the work. There are so many others who want to get into this market, but they lack knowledge or they lack all these things that we need to now start teaching. But the strong trading culture is there. And that is the first part, which is strong. High demand density in township. People, even corporate people, some of them still stay in township. So there's still opportunity for cash flow market. And yes, there's cash and this and that, but in terms of market size, this is the biggest market in the country. Deep informal supplier networks, it has been developing. You will hear about the cash and carries, the Daveland cash and carries, etc. These are guys who are supplying, but I will then share where we need to improve. Mobile penetration, just like the previous presentation, is there, and we should leverage this. Youth willing to participate in delivery and digital roles. This is key. The fact that you've got youth who are willing to participate, it's an advantage for you to run with. This is a momentum you can start building with. What is not ready is digital literacy gaps. The people who are running these puzzle shops and saloons, etc., these are our mothers. They never got taught the opportunity to get taught technology. So they're not going to accept orders on time when they are on Spaza Eats. They are not going to understand that they need to change their menus every day. These are the challenges that we are going through, and it's devastating. But this does not stop trade. We can educate here. This is where you start hiring financial guys and accountancy guys who are in graduate level. We deploy them to work with Spaza Eats or with other platforms to start educating our merchants in digital literacy, digital apps, and how to use them. Financial infrastructure challenges. And this is what I have addressed. I've solved this, I think, but it needs momentum. It needs partnership. I didn't say support, but it needs partnership. Regulatory and non-compliance. This is where I will have a challenge if we approach this like how we look at banks. And obviously we are highly regulated at this point, but a bank cannot onboard a merchant who's not registered, but a commerce platform can and can assist them to be registered, which is an advantage. And that is why I've got two banks that are chasing us to be our acquirer at this point. Logistics fragmentation. I think that, and I'm going to speak from my heart. I'm not saying you should do these things. These are things that I've seen. I honestly saw youth that are ready to deliver. They just don't have bikes and cell phones. And on top of that, we've got platforms from international, multinational platforms that you are not blocking trade in those markets. And because of that, they are bringing everyone in, even guys from another country. And I'm a pro Pan-African. So I do not think that is ideal to have people who are not registered to be delivering in our townships. I think this is where you start when it comes to logistics. We build a momentum of our youth, give them bikes. I've got these partnerships already with Bidvest, Honda, and Huawei has got this supplier from China, etc. So different suppliers that you can think about, we can bring them. But there is an opportunity here to create jobs for our youth in delivery. The existing platforms are abusing this, and they are bringing anybody and anyone. They know that they are not regulated, so they can bring anyone. This is where you start putting a regulation to say not just anyone should be employed here. And this is where you block outside trade, and then you bring your own local youth to be hired if they are from that local area. That's where we multiply their drivers now. High transaction cost. There's a bit of high transaction cost to trade, to build these platforms and to trade in those platforms, but this is not as high as in the urban areas. The companies that I'm trying to compete with, these are funded companies. They are able to wipe out this cost, and we can't. And that's why I can't compete on a high level with these guys. But this is where you come in and start putting laws to say this is the standard rate that we want you to put up. This will, I don't know how, but this will generate money for you because you'll put some taxes as well. But this will also limit multinational platforms to feel like this is their playground. Commerce platform alone cannot solve township exclusion. Financial infrastructure comes first. And this is what I had to learn, that if we want to build township, we need to empower the merchant who is the spaza shop owner. So our technology, which is MyXPay, we made sure that it's built in a way that it allows the merchant to see their balance today. It allows them to get lending. Lending is not based on Beru data, it's based on their transactional data. If you approach this like a bank, it's not going to work, because she might be owing Edgar's, but she can afford based on her business. It's making 3,000 a day. And we also made sure that we bring insurance into this MyXPay platform, because they are buying stock every day, but their stock is not insured. You see the spaza shop burning, everyone is laughing. But what they are not realizing is that she can't get it back. She needs insurance to safeguard the stock and the shop. That's how we create sustainability for her. And lastly, it's other vast solutions like the DSTV, Netflix, and subscriptions that our people are paying. I think that our people should not be going to ShopRite to pay for these things. As Spaza Shop can be an mediator, and MyXPay provides this. But it's been a long journey of battling and fighting with multinational platforms that I believe that it's time you take charge of that and start creating jobs easy. Ecosystem gaps. Capital in the urban-centric and capital is urban-centric and reverse and risk-averse. And what that means is that at the moment, the way our spaza shop owners access credit and capital, the system for banks is built for urban areas. It's built for business that are already included in the economics. For someone who's transacting using cash, they are already outside. So the goal here is to push our spaza shop owners, restaurant owners, and car wash to become digitally equipped, to be part of MyXPay and other payment infrastructure. Because now we have been enabled. I've got Visa partnership, which gave us license, which means my financials that are happening in the transaction can allow a merchant to go to any bank and access assets, etc. So that's what we need to be solving through fintech and then supporting e-commerce. Most VC funds, these ones, I don't even want to talk about them because I walked around a lot of investors, even our own people who are coming from township, who are sitting in those rooms. They just don't believe in spazas. They have this wrong mindset about township. And I remember we were raising 30 million and we were one of the, and we're saying that this is how we're gonna, they are looking for profit. They don't have patient capital. And what you can start doing is, how do you empower commerce platforms to have patient capital, to run for 3-4 years? Because we are running out of cash as we run this. Township commerce is seen as too operational, but it is too operational, but I believe that its government be part of it. Blended finance mechanism exists, but are hard to access. With MyXPay, I've enabled now with SIDFA. It took 3 years to get this fund. We've managed to get 25 million for lending. And lending is not operation. I still need to carry operation, but this will now enable a lot of merchants to have capital to run. Working capital for MSMEs for buying stock. That on my XPay, we can now give cash for buying stock, operate on tight margins. I honestly think that township market prices are very low, and we need to start pushing them to increase their prices. You find a bagger or a quarter 50 rand. That is not the price they should be charging. They should be charging a 70 rand. According to me, the quarter is comparative to a bagger at McDonald's, and a quarter slaps different compared to those beggars, and it's original. So how do we empower our merchant to start having knowledge around pricing so that they can have a 20 rand, 15 rand margin? I do not think that I don't think that is hard. I think it's doable. The ability to bring fintech now, support the invoicing and things like that, and also support the financing, and to show that this spaza shops makes money. Another journey that I had to walk was a tough journey of compliance. But because now I'm on the other side, I feel like it's important, but it's a very difficult journey to build a fintech solution and a commerce platform for our people. I needed to pass through FSCA and NCR licenses, which takes about 7 months, but I need to pass through Reserve Bank process, which takes about 9 months, but I've got the PASA license. I had to pass through the FICA and the FSPs, which also takes time, but fortunately, we went through that. And the last one was the Visa license. And where I can say where I am sitting now is that Visa has made it a job for them to support Espaza Eats, and they are going to market with us, which is exciting, but it's only starting now. What I'm excited about that is I can now enable your mission to create 3 million jobs. Opportunities for policy alignment. Township digital infrastructure. Government should co-invest in township logistics hubs. These are drivers, not complicated drivers. Let's get contracts with suppliers of bikes, sign a long-term deal with them, and try and negotiate a bike from 30 rand to be 20 rand, 30,000 to be 20,000. Tell them you are buying in bulk. I can even help to negotiate this. Bidvest has been our sponsor. I can talk to them. And easy work. Then you can deploy infrastructure, enable our youth to have vehicle to run. Another thing for multinational, not for me because I can't afford it, but for multinational, why don't we put a standard income per youth to say every youth must be paid a standard 3,000? That will, you know what is the problem? And this I want you to be aware of, is because you haven't regulated that how many people should be in that ecosystem. They can hire 3,000 drivers and pay them for per delivery. 1, 2, 3 drivers that have done. These are our parents who have got kids. If you can start limiting number of people per area and also local, this means you can create sustainability for the man who's got kids, who's delivering, and also who's part of these ecosystems, like the delivery ecosystem. If you can start saying we want them to get a minimum of 3,000, it will make the multinational companies to stop having 3,000 people and have 1,000 active people. Shared warehousing, it's about logistics, etc. This we can revisit in the next years. But but basically it's about centralizing warehousing for our people. Maybe this is not highly demanded, but if this is part of your thing, I'm also happy to share knowledge on it. Digital onboarding centers. This is where your power is. The reason why you can't fund the townships is because they are not compliant on paper, but on business, they're already doing business. So if government start bringing onboarding centers, it means you are now digitizing them and bringing them into the ecosystem, which makes it easy for them to be compliant and makes it easy for them to be part of trade. Remember, this is a 200 billion market share per year. Merchant digitization program. This allows you to also create jobs. I had to hire about 6 merchant managers in Gauteng alone. It's too expensive for me. But if government is creating jobs like this to say, we want to support Espaza Eats with merchant managers, we're going to have kiosks in areas where they can go and be digitized and learn. you are creating 1,000 jobs easy in Gauteng alone. So when we move to the fairness and commission and regulation, I think that because now we've been regulated and things, it's important to have regulation and for everyone to be part of the system. But we now need to support that. Commission caps for essential goods and in low income areas. And all of this can be managed. Another point that I have, data transparency and regulations. I know that we want to be transparent with data, etc. But I think that you need to go and check the guys who are providing data centers. Those guys are supposed to be hiring local data scientists, data engineers, and so many people in this country. Otherwise, government should build their own data centers. On top of that, it's expensive for me to run this platform. I'm paying 80,000 a month. I can't afford this. I need government to know that apps, local apps, are being exploited by data centers. And data centers are not hiring as many of our people. I look at data centers like Transnet. Data center, it's where the economy is heading to. Everything is digital. So either government builds their own data centers and we can bring partners, or you start regulating these data centers because they are not creating enough jobs. There's so many tech people in the country that are not getting jobs, and they should have been getting it from data centers. The same way you look at SABC and I'm forgetting others. That's how you should look at a data center. You should own a data center in your country. That's how you will own the data. That's how you will protect systems that are just coming in the country and mining our information. And that's how you control these things. If you can build, then have a share in them so that you make money from. Digital identity and credit framework. Enable transaction-based. This is easy because now when you enable fintech like MyXPay, what we have, it's easy to enable credit. We are giving credit based on their transaction. So if they make 3,000 a day, they can qualify for 8,000 credit at 7%. Another thing I had to bypass was that.
Khalifa, you are left with 3 minutes, sir. Please round off.
Okay, thank you. So maybe let me jump there. Practical recommendation, I think financial inclusion and platform accountability is important, especially the multinational platforms. There we need to now make them accountable to create jobs. There's opportunity here where you can start charging tax, whether it's B2B township wholesalers or informal traders. You can start charging whether it's 20 Rand or 30 Rand, where you can start generating income. And government can use township platforms for procurement and enabling them to be part of the ecosystem of trade. This is our job to do. The fact that there's still 60% of market that is still left out by the banks and others does not mean it does not exist. We who are coming from there, we need to be activators of those markets. If Parliament wants 3 million jobs, we must formalize and digitize the township economy, not by replacing it, but by upgrading it and enabling it. As Spaza Eats, we've raised 25 million credit line from SIDFA that we're going to give to merchants. And we also have Visa as our partner. I think Visa mentioned that they're going to give us $5 million in the next 5 years to enable trade from local mothers who are in the trade business. And I already have acquirers that allows me to go for big trade already. And I'm ready to partner with government. And if there's anything we need to give advices on or share ideas and knowledge, I'm ready to do that. But when it comes to how you can create 3 million jobs, it's not as complex as it sounds. I think that you can do this within 3 years. It's logistics. It's those mothers of ours need to be trained. So financial literacy and technology literacy. It's management. So how do we enable some of them to have a manager, a business manager who's managing 100 of them in their own areas? That's what banks are doing. They've got regional managers, etc. And that's how you can create jobs and enable this country to be productive. Thank you so much. That's my presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the presentation. I think that was the information that we needed. We are now going to listen to the briefing by the Competition Commission on key findings on the online intermediation platforms market inquiry. Please summarize, Madam, over to you.
Good morning, Chairperson and honorable members. Chair, my name is Doris Tepe from the Competition Commission. I am joined online by the DDG of Transformation and Competition, Dr. Susan Mangole. I'm also joined by Mr. James Hodge, who was the chairperson of the online intermediation platform Market Inquiry. He's the chief economist at the Competition Commission and also an acting deputy commissioner. It is an absolute pleasure, Chair, to be here with you and to share some of our learnings from the online intermediation platform Market Inquiry. I'm going to take you through, Chair, the presentation, and we look forward to the discussions that ensues. It was also very interesting to listen to the presentation before. Chair, the first part is to talk of the context. Why did we go for this market inquiry? I think it was just timely because at the time, I think we would have seen that online business to consumer platforms were growing in importance, and they still are, as a distribution channel and an opportunity for small and medium enterprises and firms owned by historically disadvantaged persons to reach a national consumer base and have a real impact on the economy. What did the inquiry scope entail? It was not just e-commerce, it was e-commerce, food delivery, classified, online classified, both auto and property, travel and accommodation, and application stores. And these were chosen, Chair, because of the high level of adoption that we saw at the time when we were choosing to undergo this market inquiry. Google search was also included, and that was because it had, and it still does, Chair, maybe I mustn't speak in the past tense, it shapes competition among platforms and even for businesses who are selling on those platforms themselves. The Act, when we deal with market inquiry, requires us to look at market features that hinder platform competition, that hinder competition amongst businesses who are selling on the platform, but importantly for our purposes, also hinder the participation of small and medium businesses and enterprises and of firms that are owned by historically disadvantaged persons, and to look at exploitation of business users. We completed the inquiry in July 2023. Chair, I was also at the time a member of the panel of this market inquiry. I forgot to mention that. And we imposed a number of remedies on all leading platforms. Most of these remedies, Chair, have been implemented and are being implemented. We only have Apple, who has taken the decision of the Commission on appeal, and private property has partially implemented some part. One of the remedies we had specifically imposed on private property was a divestiture of a certain business, and they have implemented that part through a measure that we have since approved as the Commission, Chair. So the Act requires us, in relation to government, we do not impose remedies in relation to government. We are required to have recommendation, and we made recommendation to government on risk funding
of businesses. And this is what was required for government to do. This is in process of implementation. Our advocacy division in the Commission has actually started bringing together all DFIs and all funders, private funders, into a room to see how we best deal with it. And I think both Mr. Kabaka and Mr. Banks have raised this part as a fundamental issue, and we have started making sure that this is being implemented. We are monitoring the implementation, and we are seeing there are some indication of positive outcomes, which I'll speak to a little later, Chair. Those, in fact, you will see the sort of indicative numbers I'm talking about. Those are even 2025 numbers, Chair, as we are still to receive reports for 2026. Part of what we have done following the release of the report and the implementation of the remedies was to issue a guidance note, Chair, in line with our provisions of the Act. And that guidance note was issued to advise all other online intermediation platform on what conduct we believe will be compliant and therefore avoid anti-competitive outcomes in the market. So while we would have spoken, we would have had, we would have assessed conduct of those platforms that would have been in the country at the time, someone like Amazon, for example, who would have come subsequently, would be covered by the guidance note that we issued on what kind of conduct do we think would be compliant and not contravene the Act. And Chair, we're happy to engage with the committee on the guidance note as well. Going forward, Chair, into 2026, 2027 financial year, the Commission is likely to look at business-to-business platform, and these are platforms that look at a business who may be requiring supplies from the other businesses. I mean, even if you look at a business-to-consumer one, it could be the businesses that are located within a take-a-lot, for example, that are supplying to a consumer on a business-to-consumer platform. We will be looking at and still on this one, Chair, we will be looking at what are the conducts that most hinder participation of SMEs and firms owned by HDPs, Chair. And that is the work that we are doing in this regard, and we think we'll be doing into 2027, Chair. Then coming to the competition dynamics, and this is amongst the platforms themselves. Chair, you know that what as I've said earlier on, business-to-consumer platform offer a way for businesses to transact with consumers online. And consumers often prefer this platform as they aggregate a large range of businesses, making it easy for them to evaluate their options than going to each one of these businesses' website that is time-consuming. And businesses, from a business point of view, they list on these platforms to reach more customers and make use of delivery and transaction infrastructures that the previous presenters have spoken about in order to conclude sales. And this is particularly beneficial to SMEs, Chair. Platforms then need to onboard, obviously, businesses and customers for this model to work, as too few businesses will put off consumers and too few customers will discourage businesses for doing that. For this to work, the platform will approach and onboard businesses by mostly charging only for transactions and initially compete on lower fees and offering visibility to consumers. For consumers, what the platform will do is to market to them mostly through Google search as search shows an intent by a consumer to purchase and need to invest, and therefore there is a need to invest in ads and search engine optimization to build volumes as position or visibility matters in this way. To retain consumers, platforms then must offer low prices and lower consumer fees. For example, you see it with platforms like Uber Eats, where delivery fees may be reduced or not even charged at all. In the initial phase, platforms often lose money in order to buy volumes and grow, and this happens with capital backing, or they must build slowly. Once a platform has built volumes, it becomes easier to sustain itself and grow because it becomes a must-have for businesses that join voluntarily and who are willing to pay higher fees and to pay for position on such results, which then bolsters that business side revenue for the platform. Platform then use this extra business revenue to increasingly subsidize consumers to win on price and entrench their position as a must-have platform for businesses to reach national consumers. The result is that platform markets then tend to tip to one or two large platforms and several smaller niche players. And platform conduct can exclude rivals in the process as they're seeking to be either one of the two large platforms. What we found in terms of the conduct that may be harmful is that we found that platforms are imposing what we refer to as price parity conditions on businesses. What they do, these clauses, is they prevent businesses from pricing cheaper on other platforms or on their own online sales channels. And this hinders them from competing either with the platforms themselves or other platforms. What we did then in order to deal with this conduct was we imposed a remedy that eliminated imposition of these price parity clauses in e-commerce, travel and accommodation, and food delivery platforms. We have seen research that shows that the elimination of these clauses has reduced dependencies of these businesses from the platform and has also seen reduction in on-sales prices of accommodation providers in particular, Chair. In property classified, the largest platforms managed agent listing and refused to offer interoperability to allow agents to list on other competing platforms. The remedy we imposed ended this practice, and what we have seen is entrance of HDP firms in the form of My Property and Property Central, and now they're able to get listing, and they are growing, Chair, in size. In food delivery, national fast food chains did not permit their franchisees to list on local township delivery platforms, making them less attractive to consumers. We then imposed a remedy to prevent this from happening, and the result has been that services such as Kasi and Deliverika Speed is now listing fast food chains, and they are expanding rapidly in the market in townships, Chair. I now turn, Chair, to speak about the importance of Google search for customer acquisition. What we found was that Google search was favoring large, often global platforms who can buy prominence, hindering South African platforms and smaller platforms from participating and competing against these larger, often global platforms who have deeper pockets, Chair. So what we did was we imposed a remedy requiring Google to offer an SA platform filter and a flag badge. If you go on Google, Chair, and you search, you will see sometimes you have a South African flag badge to promote SA platforms to South African consumers. We also we also required that they have 180 million in ad credits to smaller SA platforms to enable them to get visibility on Google search. Google is also providing other funding and support to South African SMEs and HDP platforms, and was also required to onboard 500,000 SMEs onto Google Map to provide visibility over 5 years. We've heard also from Mr. Bank the importance of onboarding SMEs on these platforms. Google has already, through our monitoring, we know that they have commenced distribution of ad credits, and 62 online businesses have been provided this. They have provided grants to 115 recipients and are training and providing mentorship of SMEs of about 25 startups. And I think, Chair, and I will ask the team for confirmation, these are 2025, January 2025 numbers. So as they now report now, I would imagine these numbers would have grown exponentially. We also found that Google was practicing had practices that often favored its own platforms, business-to-consumer platforms in hotel, travel, and shopping by placing them at the top of the search as you were looking to do so. We then required Google to implement some of the remedies that they are required to implement in the EU to address this in South Africa. There has been a delay in implementing this due to their failure to reach agreement in the EU on how to implement these remedies. But we have given them a timeline, Chair, on when they should be coming back to us to ensure that we do it timelessly and that we implement this. Chair, just to now speak specifically on competition within digital platforms and the effects on SMEs and HDP. In onboarding businesses, platform will initially prioritize larger businesses that can draw more customers with their brand or multiple location, and those targeting wealthier online consumers. And that's the model we see all the time, Chair. But as the platform become must-have platform, they can then raise business fees, including upfront loading, onboarding fees, not just transaction fees, as I've said earlier on, and increasingly sell ads or position on the search page as businesses fight for greater discoverability and visibility to be seen by the consumers. In classified and food delivery platforms, we also saw discrimination on fees, offering of lower transaction fees to larger businesses that have some bargaining power, unlike higher fees that we're charging to SMEs and HDPs. Collectively, these pose barriers to small and medium enterprises and HDPs onboarding and achieving discoverability and visibility by consumers on the platforms once they've been onboarded. So the remedies we imposed were designed to help SMEs and HDPs overcome these barriers to benefit from platforms. All leading platforms, Chair, were then required to implement an HDP program that would provide onboarding assistance, discounted fees for a period, offer promotional credits or events to promote visibility for this HDP businesses, who often, Chair, are SMEs businesses. So, Chair, just to give you, I said this, a flavor of some of what we have seen in the reporting or monitoring of our remedies. For instance, in the first 14 months, Takealot onboarded over 800 HDP firms. Uber Eats have also onboarded over 100 HDP restaurants, and Property 24 has onboarded over 200 HDP estate agents. There's been fee savings as a result of these intervention in the tens of thousands, tens of millions of rands, Chair, as of January 2025. Booking.com is now promoting HDP-owned accommodation, but they are also promoting tourism in historically disadvantaged areas. Fee discrimination on food delivery and classified was required to be substantially reduced or eliminated, making them more affordable to more SME participants and permitting SMEs to spend on promotional activity too, which then increases their visibility and discoverability on platforms. This has benefited hundreds of SMEs, and as I said, Chair, savings are estimated for them to be in the tens of millions of rand. On the Play Store, the Google Ad Credit and grants have supported over 50 application developers to reach a larger, more global audience as well. In our view, Chair, and we've seen this even in the previous presentation, removing barriers to SMEs and HDP is essential, but financial support in taking advantage of those opportunities is required to ensure success for this SMEs and HDP firms. We recommended that government offer first loss risk funding to support HDP startups that lack historical wealth accumulation to self-fund in phase one before venture capital support comes in. Funding is needed to support SMEs and HDP businesses seeking to onboard and scale on online platforms, Chair. And we think this is quite a crucial, Chair, to enable them to participate and be able to succeed. And Chair, this has been said a lot, Chair. And what I wanted to say is that this must happen both to ensure that these services are available both to township and rural areas. And on risk funding, Chair, we think it covers funding for SMEs to cover cost of onboarding onto platforms and promoting themselves to be visible. And I think we have heard this, Chair, that there has to be collaboration among government, including government entities with platforms to identify SMEs for onboarding, provide digital marketing skills and support financially. And lastly, we need to ensure the market is delivering on township and rural broadband access and logistics for delivery and fulfillment centers, Chair. And some of these, Chair, they align even with some of our finding in, for example, the grocery retail market inquiry, for example. So all of these needs to be looked at and dealt with in a consolidated manner. Chair, I think I'll end here. And if there are any questions, as I said, the chair of the market inquiry is here with me, and we will be willing to engage. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Doris Tsepe, our Commissioner of Competition Commission. Thank you for the good information that you were sharing with the committee now. At least we all know and understand the digital platforms on how they work online and dealing with the software-based infrastructure, so many things. Thank you very much. Honorable members, let me see. allow you to raise your hands. I see the first hand is Honorable Kruka, who is mindful that we need to finish off our meeting by 11 o'clock. Over to you, Dr. Kruka, as I'll be recognizing other hands.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I think it was 12 o'clock and not 11, but I will be...
Sorry, my apology. My apology, don't for talk's sake.
No. But thank you, and thank you for the unbelievable, informative presentations we received from all three presentations. Madam Chair, I don't have a question. I just want to propose something. I think especially the first two presentations and the persons involved in this digital platform, platforms. My proposal is that we, as a committee, instead of going on oversight or that committee week, we must invite them and the department to have a workshop on this. Because we as politicians, it's not the only persons that must understand this whole concept and this unbelievable benefits for small businesses. The department must understand that as well. So, and to have a half an hour presentation, I think doesn't do justice on this opportunity for small business. So I want to propose that somehow we arrange for a workshop, at least 3 days with the department, and so that we can roll out this whole concept to the benefit of our small businesses and informal businesses. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for the proposal, Honorable Kruka, and that will give us an ample time to interrogate the presentation and also have enough time to ask the questions or clarity whereby we don't understand some of the issues. Some of us were born after technology. I think that your proposal will then end up assisting us. Thank you very much, Honorable Kruka. The Honorable Member Matulelo.
Thank you very much, Chair. I am sure you agree with me with the time that is not enough for interrogating these critical reports. Number one, Chairperson, I will just go to the one that is having a lot of my interest, but I will try to cover all the presentations. Chairperson, firstly on SONA, it was full of announcements without structural change that are resulting to a political theatre. While government speaks of 2.5 billion for small enterprises, the lived reality of townships and rural entrepreneurs remains one of the exclusion, exploitation, and debt bondage. Access to finance is meaningless when small businesses are forced to borrow at interest rate of over 30%, sanctioned under the National Credit Act. This is not developmental finance, Chairperson. It is a state-regulated economic violence against the poor. Therefore, we reject a system where micro-entrepreneurs are pushed into predatory lending while banks and the intermediaries profit. We demand immediate interest rate, Chairperson, at caps and below 20%. Enforced directly on intermediaries, not promised for some distant future economic freedom. So economic freedom cannot be postponed, Chairperson. On regulations, the proposed business licensing bill must not become another bureaucratic weapon against informal traders. We insist that no licensing regime must criminalize survivalist businesses, particularly spaza shops, street vendors, informal traders, and cooperatives operating in townships and rural areas. Chairperson, in Public Procurement Act, we warn that laws without gazetted regulations are dead letters. Until binding set aside for small enterprises, women, youth, and persons with disabilities are enforced with state procurement, will continue to benefit politically connected elites instead of the masses. Honorable Chair, and then we maintain that small businesses cannot succeed under a capitalist system that protects monopoly capital through transformation, requires state-led industrialization, direct funding, and worker-controlled cooperatives, not loan dependency, Chairperson. We will continue to exercise militant oversight to ensure that these promises translate into real economic power for the people, not profit for financiers. We are deeply concerned that while township entrepreneurs are expected to participate in digital platform markets, the state has failed to provide the necessary infrastructure, affordable data, secure connectivity, and meaningful digital literacy in indigenous languages. Without state-led intervention, digital platforms will simply become a new tool for exploitation, Chairperson. We further note the dangers of high transaction fees, extortions, cybercrime, and infrastructure vandalism. These risks cannot be solved by the private sector alone. The state must play a central role in guaranteeing safety, reducing costs, and ensuring the township enterprises are not sacrificed for profit. We remain concerned that the current digital marketplace is dominated by the few powerful, largely foreign-owned platforms that continue to exploit small businesses and consumers. The inquiry correctly shows that online platforms become must-have gateways to markets. Once this dominance is achieved, platforms raise fees, sell visibility, and dictate unfair terms of SMEs and historically disadvantaged persons. This enforces economic exclusion rather than dismantling it. While the introduction of HDP programs, we are clear that these measures are temporary and insufficient. They do not change ownership, control, or decisions-making power. Small businesses remain dependent on platforms they do not own and cannot influence. Chairperson, we are partially critical of the dominance of the global technology companies in search and advertising developments of Google search advantages. Multinationalist corporations will deep pockets and sidelines local townships-based informal traders. These reflect a form of a digital colonialization where African markets serve foreign profit interests. The state must play a central role in building, supporting, and owning digital platforms that serves townships and rural areas. Chairperson Mandivala, as the EFF, we believe that meaningful transformation of the digital economy requires stronger regulation of monopolies, algorithm, transparency, capped fees for SMEs, the development of the state-owned and the community-based platforms. Without radical intervention, digital platforms will continue to reproduce inequality. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. The Honorable Marimacha.
Thank you, Chair. Let me start by welcoming the representations. And they say indeed they provide a lot that we think can assist the poor of the poorest. Chair, let me also follow suit that there is a need that we need to continue this session. But in that continuation of this session, the three presentations, if not presenters, must come with a framework that will tell us or inform us as to where are they going to start with their community engagement in a form of civic education around this. Because we have a tendency of doing things from top to bottom. But if you listen, the presenters will tell you that what normally fails the small entrepreneur is lack of knowledge. But we want to bring sophisticated kind of system, not information, that will require certain skill to implement. Until we go down and be at the level of those that are going to be on daily basis working with this system, we will not master this that we want to achieve it as a form of objective. One will say you want to build permanent entrepreneur who will enter the global market with no failures. You want to create more jobs that has to be sustained by the system that is mastered by those who are implementing it. So that will be my starting point. The second presenter, when he was dealing with this competition commission, I want you to get this. So when you come in, the two of you must talk to us. He gave a comparison of the quota. Quota is one of the daily bread in the township. Now, he was of the advocacy that the price that is sold at that particular point in the township, in the rural, with affordability as a tech, he found it not to be correct, and which is not far to say it's about profit, not necessarily about caring, whether you afford or not, meaning that a resident can be in the area, smell the good food, yet cannot afford. It's in the very same area, yet we are saying we are improving the life and the living conditions of our masses. I'm saying competition committee, when we deal with this, the issue of pricing and affordability, assist, as the second presenter was very anxious when talking to them, that he will want to see a situation where they are upped, they are pushed, so that they put the same price that McDonald's is putting that particular time, regardless of the environment McDonald's is operating, which it is more balanced to say McDonald's is making money, the product is not far from each other, but the question is who for who? Because we are not in an equal state. There's still high inequality, which becomes one of our trouble challenge. The very same presenter, he spoke of unregistered traders, yet as the department, we are more to say, we want to see everybody being registered. It's not just to register, also contributing to tax. We are saying we are funding a number of those who want to go up and become entrepreneur, business people, and anything that you can call. But people must not forget to be regulated. That will include to be taxed, so to double the revenues, the revenue for the state. Now, with that weakness, where it put us. Now, I have no problem of having many people flocking into the market. I have a serious problem when there's high concentration in the market. Too many bikes in the township where others is going left, right, left. There's no that profit of some sort. It is only too many bikes. But at the end of the day, that is where the issue of fakes and other things pop in. So just talk to us in terms of controlling such, so that we don't create the other market like the taxi industry, where every second household had a taxi, and when there are not enough customers, if not commuters, they begin to kill each other. This other thing, Chairperson, we must not forget that South Africa is a unitary state. It can't be that when we are pushing for minimum wage, somewhere people are subjected to work such as based on profit. There is this scheme that you work, you only get certain portion of the money after you've worked like this. And it normally happens in the hospitality. You find that you have to rely on tips. I'm saying, how do we have sustainable jobs there so that it must not be tantamount to exploitation? You know, Thomas Sankara has got this famous quote that I will always quote to say, we cannot befriend those who are exploiting us, oppressing us, and humiliating us. And that quote is very relevant to in the business, especially where a person pretends to assist, but it's exploiting you to the core. So, Chair, I thought let me have those so that when they talk to us, they clarify that. Other than that, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Malimaja. Honorable Kate Bilankulu.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chairperson, and good morning, everyone in the platform. Chair, firstly, I would like to welcome the presentation by the three presenters. It is really informative. It makes me to realize that there is a gap between us as members and also to our society. While the presenters were presenting, I started to see that there are some of the things or there are some of the opportunities that one doesn't realize as opportunities that can change somebody's life or that can take you from one level to the other or to become a better entrepreneur. Chairperson, I think I don't have a question per se, but I wanted to support the proposal to say, let's invite them again, having enough time. And I think enough time, not the day that we're going to have a sitting in the afternoon, the day that we'll dedicate to the presentation and the engagement. Because I've realized that the gap that is there, it also needs us, together with the department, to sit down and analyze or engage on the issues. I just want to give one simple example that while listening to Taliban making, giving an example of the deliveries. When I look at that or checking around the country, you find that most of the deliveries are being made by people that are coming from outside our country. And that makes me to realize that our own doesn't see that one as something that can change somebody's life. Or there are a lot of opportunities that as South Africans, we're taking them for granted as if they are nothing. They won't do anything to us. Or we are looking down to other opportunities instead of realizing that if maybe we can come up with regulating those things, it can end up being something that may turn one's life. So that is why I'm saying, Chairperson, I don't have a question, but I'm supporting the proposal to say, can't we invite them again in order to have this session that will engage and also to understand deep together with the department in order to make our small business to work better. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Bilankulu, Honorable Sarah, then follows Honorable Molotani. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you for all the presentations as well. Chair, regarding the first two presentations, I think it was a missed opportunity for the department not to be here. And if anything is supposed to come of the practical recommendations, then it would be up to the department and SEDFA to put that in some kind of a program. So I do think that the engagement with the department would be critical, because our role of oversight would be then to interrogate the department as to what they are doing, if at all a partnership or a program is possible and workable, and hopefully it will be. I would also just like to say I particularly welcome the recommendation of having a township week. I think that would be very good, and it would also allow us to perhaps get a lot of the businesses registered formally. It would be an opportunity during that week. Regarding the last presentation, Chair, thank you for the information in that presentation. I just have one question, and that is, I've heard about all the guidelines and all these interventions that have happened. I've also heard about large numbers of HDPs that have been onboarded on the various platforms. But I would just like to know, how is compliance being monitored to ensure that the guidelines are adhered to? I'm not a technocrat, so I'm not exactly sure how these algorithms are actually monitored for compliance, so that we still don't end up getting those with deep pockets always coming up first, and we don't achieve the objective. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Singh. Honorable Molatsane, your time.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Good morning, Chairperson, to yourself. Good morning, honorable members, and good morning to everyone who's on the platform. Chair, I think I will concur with what Honorable Malemaja has just said, that really, we need to invite the first and the second presenters in the portfolio committee, where we have enough time to listen to this presentation, which is going to add value on our MSMEs, so that we can be able to go through it together with the department, and the department can be able to advise us on certain issues, especially on the first on the presentation that was done by Talifwani Banks. I think that one, to me, is very much important, as we can be able to see what is happening around that. Those delivering people here, they don't, that program on its own, it doesn't create much employment for the locals, and really it's going to assist. So I will support the Honorable Malemaja that let's call this presentation to a physical meeting where we have enough time to interrogate those presentations. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, honorable members. So the honorable members that spoke supported the idea that we need to have a township week, whereby we invite our presenters to come and do the presentation thoroughly. And we really did not want to rush the presentation, but because of time, we had to rush like we're doing now. We will also invite the department. Honorable Sarah, I support the idea that the department really should have been part of the meeting, because they are the ones who is going to assist with regard to funding of the small business development. I will reserve all the questions that I was having, because I could hear that indeed we will need time with the presenters. For now, I am going to request that they talk to what the honorable members has raised. Wherever they would want to touch on the recommendations, they should. And whenever they heard that there was a question, they should also respond to the question. Well, they have mentioned their challenges regarding this onboarding, especially telephone. And then we will talk about them. when we have our township week. Secretary, I think this is not going to take time. We need these presentations as soon as next week, though we'll have to agree on time on our management committee. Let me allow the presenters to talk to what the honorable members have said. We'll start with Limpopo. Over to you, Mr. Telephone.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I love the response, and it's critical. You are sitting in this epitome of township development, and your decision counts. So thank you so much for hearing us and creating this platform. When we do create that session, I will be ready to answer questions because I lived this and I breathe it. I think township economy is the biggest economy in the country and in the continent. If we can solve this in South Africa, this is how we can export our technologies across 54 states in the continent. And that's how we become sustainable companies. And this is the most happiest day for me because I've been waiting for this, that the state can intervene to multinational digital platforms that are exploiting our resources and our people. We need to stand up for this. That as soon as I launched Spaza Eats, I had only 3 million to push marketing. I activated the voice and I did all the what is needed to be done. The next thing I see a multinational from another country putting everyone who had my uniform changed to their green and what. I can't compete with that 15 million budget. And this is where you come in to say this market is for this or however you do it, but your intervention counts. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Ntate Buiso, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. Really grateful for everybody for taking the time to at least begin the journey, I think I would say, in better understanding. I think the imperative role you play in ensuring a long-term sustainable future for all small business operators in South Africa, especially those who don't have access to the means, access to the platforms and the resources, to have a collective voice that best represents their interests. We are in a very critical stage of this process, and that's why this needs, sober-minded clarity in terms of the policy direction. And again, if you are not to move, I think you would find the situation and circumstances become not only more complicated, but again, more dismissive of the market, where you end up like the situation that has happened with gambling in South Africa, being overwhelmed and totally, the situation beyond kind of reproach in terms of its ability to turn around. We are in a very interesting, critical stage of the process, as demonstrated by the Competition Commission's own kind of reflections. And for me, again, if you look at the numbers presented around where the demand lies and what the Competition Commission has been able to negotiate, I think they will also admittedly start realizing that the gap is getting only more wider, and the complexities are getting more deeply entrenched. So again, thank you for, I think the reproach and the future view of seeing this opportunity to do something collectively around a focused kind of platform like a Township Entrepreneurship Township Economy Week. I think this really will bring the multitude of voices that is pontificating, questioning, interrogating, researching, evaluating this part of the market. And like I said, again, if you think about, we just come out of mining in Durban this week. If you think about the influence of the mining industry, and yet one collective ecosystem in South Africa of citizens of this country at the, in greater number and greater impact and greater social need, this is where, again, sensible policy can support development and growth. So look forward to the session, and thankfully I'm in Cape Town for this time. So hopefully we can connect in person in Cape Town.
Meeting.
Thank you very much. Let me allow May Doris Sepe, our Commissioner for Competition, to come through. Over to you, Mama.
Honorable Chair and honorable members, thank you for the contributions and some of the comments we've heard. We really appreciate, and we are ready, Chair, to come and engage more with the committee, including in the week of for the workshop. We really are ready. Our people are there. We will be able to do this. Just to answer one of the questions that was asked. So firstly, the remedies that we imposed on the market inquiry, they are binding. And so in the market inquiry report, what we would do is we would require those on whom the remedies are imposed to report to the Commission. So we actively monitor the remedies, the implementation of those remedies, and hence we can give you, Honorable Singh, some of the numbers that I spoke about, because we are required to implement, to monitor the implementation of those remedies. So we do manage it, and we do make sure that the platforms and in the case of franchisees, national franchisor, that we do make sure that they are implementing the remedies. So it is our role. But remember, we also rely on market participants also, where they do pick up that some of these remedies are not implemented, to inform us and lodge complaints with us. And where those happen, we do investigate. The guidance note is to make sure that those who were not in the market inquiry also have to comply with the remedies, or at least with what we regard as conduct that will be compliant with the law. So that's what the guidance note was to do, so that others who were not in the market inquiry or not the subject of the market inquiry must not be under the impression that they can behave in an anti-competitive manner. So that is very important. But Chair, what I wanted to say just in conclusion was, in the market inquiry, we have removed many of these remedial actions. And as I said in the end of my presentation, there is still work that we need to do. We need to make sure that there is entry of South African platforms into the market, that there is entry of businesses, especially SMEs businesses, onto these platforms. So we need to ensure that there is collaborative work with the other entities of government, with the private sector, with these platforms, to ensure that these businesses and these platforms are supported as they enter the market, that they can expand and that they can do business and make sure that they do it well. So we have, as a regulator, tried to deal with barriers to entry and expansion for these platforms. We need more work together collaboratively as government to make sure that we support the other businesses to ensure that they do thrive in this digital economy, Chair. So with those words, Chair, I want to take this opportunity to thank honorable members. And as I said, we are available, Chair. We are at your disposal. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you very much for that comments, our Commissioner. I see Memongalo is in the meeting from the DTIC. Next time when we will be coming back, Memongalo, please be ready and tell us as to what is it that the DTIC is doing about the findings of the Competition Commission and how the DTIC is implementing these recommendations. And the DTIC must speak to implementation and impact on the local business. Ne Memongalo, go and prepare yourself. And Dr. Talifani, in the meantime, please talk to SEDFA. We would really be happy to see our mothers be trained on the issues of digital skills. In the meantime, as we are still waiting for a date for us to come back and meet, and I'm sure it will be in a fiscal meeting, so that we look at each other as we'll be doing the presentation. Maybe we'll even understand you presenters more easier than hearing you from the virtual platform. Thank you very much. We managed to have our meeting on time, and thanks for all the advices that comes from the honorable members, especially whereby they were saying we need to make sure that we are productive in our meeting. So in this small time, we couldn't be productive because we did not have enough time. But anyhow, allow me, honorable members, to thank you for attending this meeting, and our presenters, and the support from our departments, and the Office of the Secretariat, our support staff. Thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned. Enjoy your day further. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Recording stopped.
Ayisakwale. Dismiss monta batla o sebedisa ntho tsa rona mona.